You see, there it is again. That is not a transformer malfunction. That is an electromagnetic pulse. It affects everything electrical for miles and miles, and it is happening again. This is what caused everything in the first place. Don't you see that? And it is going to send us back to the Stone Age. You have no idea what's coming.
In 1954, the first time a nuclear submarine ever reached the lower depths. Did Americans something?
The Americans first thought that it was the Russians. The Russians thought that it was them. All those nuclear bomb tests in the 50s. Not tests.
They were trying to kill it. Him. An ancient alpha predator. We call him Godzilla.
What is up, all my kaiju friends and fans? This is Phil the Kaiju King, coming to you from my collection room here in Greater Cincinnati. In this video, I want to talk about these two figures in particular and the movie quickly. These are the X Plus versions of the 30 centimeter scale Godzilla 2014 from the epic beginning of the legendary Monsterverse, the movie just titled simply Godzilla, directed by Gareth Edwards, and the start of the Monsterverse as we know it today. Very awesome film, very good start to the Monsterverse in my opinion. The movie itself was, to me, was a surprise in the fact that I was really surprised that Toho gave us another shot at Godzilla after what happened with 98 and the 98 debacle that Sony pulled off. It was kind of jokish in effect. That movie for me personally, 98, it's okay as a monster movie, but I personally do not consider it Godzilla. It's not Godzilla, just the way it's laid out and the way it acts and portrays itself and the design and the look of it. It just isn't Godzilla. It's a giant irradiated iguana basically, or what have you. It's not Godzilla. Godzilla is more of a prehistoric creature and an ancient prehistoric beast, and it's woken by nuclear energy. So I just, 98 is not Godzilla. I mean, Toho bought the character and renamed it Zilla for a reason, because it just was an aberration and to the name of Godzilla. But it's okay as a monster movie in my view. But I was really surprised Toho, in my opinion, gave the U.S. movie companies another shot at it, and this came about, and Legendary went on board and what have you, and they must I'm guessing Toho was watching it very quickly, or had a very close eye on things, and was making sure they signed off on everything, the design, the concept, the storyline, everything, because I can't see how they wouldn't after what happened with 98. The movie though, I like how it harkens and uses some key things, like Dr. Serizawa is in it, and then they talk about the mythology for Gojira or Godzilla in the film, and they said in 1954, when a nuclear sub went deep in the depths of the ocean, it awakened something. And 1954, of course, the original Godzilla movie came out in 1954. So I like that little Easter egg there in the film that ties with Toho's legacy of Godzilla. It's pretty cool. But the whole movie, the story, the human characters aren't the strongest point of the movie. The cast isn't bad. My favorite cast of the Monsterverse so far has been Kong Skull Island, just my personal opinion. And also Kong Skull Island's my favorite movie of the MonsterVerse to date. But this movie, the cast was decent. The intensity in it and the serious level of it was a very slow build. They were building towards Godzilla very well, I thought, as far as in the movie how they looked at it and how they were building it up, and they were teasing you with little looks of him. But when he finally shows up in Hawaii and the male Muto is there, and Godzilla's entrance in the film in Hawaii at the airport is really epic and awesome, I think. The way the camera pans up slowly and the music is building, and then he lets out his epic roar. It's really cool. But the movie is a slow build toward Godzilla and toward the action, which is basically the second half of the film. Godzilla doesn't show up to right about an hour in, but from that moment on, it really does pick up quite a bit, and the Easter eggs, like I said, in it are pretty cool. One of my favorite Easter eggs in it was when the father and the son go back to their house in Japan where it's quarantined out and you're not allowed in there. And as they're walking through the house on the fish tank, you will see like a piece of tape or something on it, and it spells out Mothra. If you look at it and watch the movie, look at that fish tank in their old house, and it says Mothra. That had to be a premonition to what was going to come last year in 2019, but I thought that was cool. That's the one Easter egg I like from that movie, probably the best. That and the 1954 reference. But the movie's good. Godzilla ends up, of course, battling the two Mutos. They call them Mutos, massive unidentified terrestrial organism. I think that's what that stands for. And it was a good fight. They were put up a good battle against Godzilla because it was a handicap match, 2 versus 1. But in the end, Godzilla walloped the male Muto into a building with his massive tail, and then he, of course, the famous move at the end of the film when he killed the female Muto, the kiss of death, when he expanded her jaws open and blew his atomic breath down into her, down her throat, and removed her head from her body. So it's an epic movie, very nicely done, very good reintroduction of Godzilla into the American film industry. And I was happy with it. I'm sure Toho was, because they've let them progress on through with, of course, King of the Monsters last year, and then upcoming this year. I'm thinking it'll get pushed till next year, though, in my opinion. Godzilla versus Kong, just because of what's going on all over the world. I would say it's going to get pushed back some more, which I'm fine with. I'm fine if it gets pushed till like next spring or whatever. As long as it's able to be released in the theaters and make some money, and hopefully the MonsterVerse can continue. But I'm also okay if the MonsterVerse ends with Godzilla vs. Kong, because it kind of feels like a crescendo anyway. But if it does continue, I really, really would love to see it continue, because the more Godzilla, the better, the way I look at it. As far as these two figures go, these are some older release figures at this point in my X Plus. These are like, 5 or 6 year old figures now. But for their age, they're done very well. I thought they really captured Godzilla 2014 very well here. X Plus did a good job. Of course, this was the standard release. And then the Roaring, this was called the Roaring version with the blue translucent dorsal plates. They are really translucent. You can see light through them. The light blue that signifies his atomic breath being about to be unleashed. The biggest differences in these two figures, there's paint app differences quite a bit. Until you get them side by side, you really don't notice it, in my opinion. But there's a lot of brownish paint apps on the standard here. A lot of light brownish tones on the back of his tail, as you can see there. On the back of his tail, it's got some lighter brownish tones, and his tail is just straight charcoal gray. The blue Roaring one, it's pretty much charcoal gray here throughout, except for his toenails are kind of a brownish in color, and his fingernails. But the sculpts are the exact same. Very nice sculpting of the trademark scaly skin on the arms, and the rough textured skin here on the thighs and legs. It kind of looks like armor plating almost. Like this Godzilla can take massive hits and not go down. But the sculpting of the skin texture on it, very nicely done. Up here by the neck and head area, very nicely done, sculpted. Really looks kind of like alligator scales, but here by the neck, in my opinion. But on the arms, nice sculpting here on it. Nice jagged dorsal plates on the tail. Of course, they're little as they get bigger to the back. Of course, he has the mountain dorsal plates. I always called them the mountain dorsal plates because they kind of look like mountains if you standing laying level horizontal like that. Of course, last year they got to be more traditional dorsal plates like the 54, which was cool. But the biggest differences in the two figures, in my opinion, are the paint app, and of course the Roaring version has a different head sculpt, different head position, and the blue dorsal plates, of course, the translucent blue plates. And then the paint app, of course, there's some light brown effects all over the standard here, especially in the chest and the lower torso there. You will see the different paint effects, but he does have quite a bit of brownish effects all over his certain areas of his body and stuff, on his hands and on his torso there and on his back of his tail and stuff. And that's the biggest differences I see are the paint app differences and the head sculpt positioning. The roaring mouth of an roaring version is the mouth is more wide open and the head is more upright. And the mouth on the inside of the roaring, it's more of a darker red, in my opinion, than the standard. His mouth is a little more closed, but it ain't quite as red. A darker as a red, it's more of a pink, lighter pinkish color. But the sculpts are the same from the neck down, at least they look like to me. Same tail position, same everything, pretty close to being the same. It's just the slight difference with the paint app, of course, on the standard, and then the blue dorsal plates, of course, on the blue Roaring version. Of course, head position on the Roaring is more upright and the mouth is wider. But they're really both awesome figures, especially for how old they are now. The sculpting, I mean, I think they captured Godzilla 2014 very well in both of these sculpts. They did a good job. X Plus, once again, as always, really does a good job. The Gigantic 2019 is very nicely done too, sculpt-wise. Very nicely done. My biggest issue with him, unfortunately, mine had a tail malfunction there or something. His tail just has never been right. It still isn't on the way, and I finally quit fighting it because it started to get a split in the vinyl back here where the tail starts to connect. Up here on the body, there was a vinyl starting to split, so I just thought, you know what, it's on there, it's not coming off right now, so I'll just leave him be. He's up there. So it's really a nice figure though. It's just a malfunctioning tail on mine anyway, as far as that goes, but it is a very good sculpted, highly detailed figure, and so are these for their age. You know, these things are like 5 years old, I think, and they're really nice. Of course, this is their blue Roaring version. I think this one came with, now this one I bought, I think, from the X Plus group, someone in the X Plus group, and I just got the figure. I don't know if it came with the Muto head or not, I have no idea, but this one didn't. It was the figure only, and I was fine with just the figure. I know that, I think there's a version with the blue dorsal plates that has the Muto head, it would fit in his hand here. I don't know if this may have been that version, and the person I bought it from was keeping the Muto head. Honestly, I don't remember, but they're pretty nice figures though. These are really nice for their age, the sculpting and everything. There's some little seams here noticeable at the arms and stuff, but it's not too bad. I mean, for their age, they're nicely done figures, really. The sculpting, I think they captured his, especially his skin textures really well, and his legs, and his thighs, and his upper body, and his chest, and his arms. The sculpting of the skin texture that the 2014 Godzilla holds, they really captured his look very well, I thought. All right, I'll bring up a couple quick size comparisons to put with these two, and I'll do that right now. All right, everybody, I'm back. Here's my two Godzilla 2014s, X Plus 30 centimeter. I also brought up the 30 centimeter Godzilla Final Wars 2004, and the 2016 X Plus Shin Godzilla Yuji Sakai version. Rick edition there. That's the one with the translucent red vinyl on it. As you can see, these 2014 Godzillas are some of the biggest 30 centimeters there is in the line, I'm pretty sure. They're pretty hefty, bulky, big figures, but so is the Godzilla, so it kind of makes sense. But they're really nicely done. I thought I'd bring up the Toho Godzilla before Legendary and the Toho Godzilla after Legendary. First, just a quick size comparison of these two. When I first started collecting in May 2017, these two, 2014 was still prevalent, especially this standard version. He was still prevalent on the reissue lineup, like Flossies and Awesome Collector, and I think I've got this 2014 through either Awesome Collector or Flossies, because he was still available at that point. Like I said, the Bluefin, I think I got the X Plus group from someone, but now I think they're about all gone. I think Jason Welling and Awesome Collector got some of the standard in, or I think maybe recently it may have been even the Bluefin too. I don't know if he still has them, but I think he got some in recently from somewhere, so they may still be available on Awesome Collector. You could check there, but they're really cool figures. All right, I'll move on to some quick final thoughts, and let's do that right now. All right, everybody, I'm back. X Plus Godzilla 2014, Legendary Godzilla, beginning of the Monsterverse right here. I desperately wanted them to do a female Muto to match up with these two guys, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think it still could happen because Legendary has the rights to that creature. X Plus would just have to work it out with them about a deal to produce it, but I just feel like if they haven't done it by now, that they won't. I do have a female Muto commissioned through Mark Sang Yang. One of my projects I have in the lineup with him, so eventually I'll have that, and I want it to scale with these Godzillas, and I'm guessing she would be almost as tall, because I remember in the movie the female Muto was really big. She was about as tall as Godzilla was, so that should be an impressive looking thing once it's done. But I do have that commission through Mark because I just really wanted a female Muto to go with these Godzillas. I thought that would be cool. And I really was hoping someday X Plus would do it, but as the further time goes along, I kind of doubt it'll happen. But it would be really cool surprise to see one show up, X Plus doing a 30 centimeter female Muto to go with these. I feel like some people would buy it, you know. But these are really nice figures. Like I said, it would be cool to see a female Muto from X Plus, but at this point I can't see them doing it at this point in the game. But what do you guys think? Would you guys like to see them do a female Muto? And would you buy one if they did one? I mean, I would be interested, but like I said, that's why I approached Mark about it, because I just feel like it ain't gonna happen. But it would complete the setup really with the female and a male, I guess. I would just do a Rick set and have the male be the Rick option for the female. And just make him, because he was quite a bit smaller than the female, so you could put him in there as a set, make him a flying version or whatever. And I feel like he could put him on a little base or something, and that could be the Rick option for a female Muto. I think that would be cool. But these are really nicely done figures if you look at them, if you've seen them up close for their age. Sculpts are really bang on, I think. Really nicely done by X Plus. Can't wait to see what we get for Godzilla vs. Kong, and also what we get down the line from King of the Monsters, because they've already announced a 25 centimeter Godzilla. So we know that there's a Mothra, Rodan, and a Ghidorah coming, you would think, as far as that goes. But if you don't have these and you like the legendary Godzilla, I would highly recommend these two figures to anyone, that, especially if you do like the legendary Monsterverse. They're very, very nicely done captures of Godzilla 2014. Alright everyone, I'll bring the camera forth for a close-up of these guys. I want to thank everyone that always tunes into my channel. I want to also hope everyone out there is safe and being well and healthy and abiding by the rules and trying to stop the spread of this crazy virus that's going around. And I hope everybody stays safe, stays well. If you like my video here, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the movie or on these figures. And you can comment below. You can like the video. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room here in Greater Cincinnati. And me and both of my Godzilla 2014s want to wish you all a very blessed day. And I'll see you again soon.
This alpha predator of yours, Doctor, do you really think he has a chance?
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around. Let them fight.